So let's face it, social media is addictive, but none of us want it to go away. I mean, my iPhone every week tells me that I'm spending hours on social media and it doesn't change. Here's the truth though, it's also seriously impacting our ability to communicate effectively in real life. And today, I'm going to share with you 3 reasons why social media is hurting our ability to communicate with others, especially others with whom we disagree. And importantly, if you stay to the end, I'm going to offer you 4 tips on how you could use social media in a healthy way and not lose your communication edge. Okay, so let's look at the 4 reasons why social media actually hurts our ability to communicate. So first, our own social media bubbles tend to reinforce our own preferred ways of thinking. Truth of the matter is, for most of us, right, the friends, the people with whom we're connected, the people we may follow on various social media, people who think a lot like us. And it's nice to hear that, to be reinforced, but really good communicators are actually really good at perspective taking, at being able to question their own assumptions, about being able to see things differently. And social media tends not to do that. It tends to actually make our own way of thinking seem like the only or the main way of thinking. Second, social media actually makes worse a certain psychological bias that most of us have to shut out or minimize dissenting views. So we know from research that most people have a set of self-serving biases, this tendency to see things and notice things that affirm their viewpoints, and then to downplay or ignore things that come from a different perspective. And social media actually takes that and reinforces it and makes it even easier. Third, and related to this, the built-in algorithms of social media tend to amplify more extreme voices. So let me give you an example here of someone who has a social media following of several million people. Now this is someone who is a personal friend of mine, and it's someone who's very interested in finding ways of building consensus across a really divisive issue. Now, this person has a particular strongly held viewpoint, and in fact, it's one of the reasons why he has several million followers. One of the things he has told me is that on many occasions, he will try to tweet something that has moderate views, that suggests extended hand across the aisle. And whenever he does that, the tweet more or less falls flat. But when he says something that is more extreme, that is more strident, it will get retweeted enormously. It actually helps him fundraise thousands of dollars for his nonprofit, and he feels really stuck. And that is not because of anything he's doing, it's because the way the social media algorithm works. And it makes it harder, once again, to kind of communicate across lines of difference. So with all of this complexity, what are some things you can do to ensure that you're able to communicate effectively, not just with people with whom you agree, but also with people who see the world differently? First, this sounds basic, but it's really hard to do, and it's just limiting your time on social media. You know, I struggle with this. For some reason, even though I am very, very busy, I find this tractor beam pull to take a look at Twitter, to see what's happening on Instagram. And truth of the matter is, like, not that much is happening, and yet I feel this. So one of the ways that I limit my time nowadays is I will literally shut off my internet, and I'll say I have to do work for a certain number of hours, or I am now out with friends and I'm not going to look at my phone. Whatever strategies work for you, I think are really important here. Second, working really hard to follow a diverse range of people and a diverse range of perspectives. The only way we can stay in touch with people who see the world differently from us is if we are intentional about it. The algorithm isn't going to do it for us. And so I work really hard to make sure that even if there's some people in my friend network that I don't like to see what they post, right? I don't hit block. When it says, would you like to see more or less of this person, I'll actually put more. And part of that is that I know that the more I understand how other people see the world and think, then it's going to make it easier for me to communicate with them effectively. Why? Because I'm going to know how they see the world, what's persuasive to them. And one of the most important things for good negotiators is that they need to be able to understand what does the world look like from the perspective of someone who doesn't see the world their way. Third, avoid amplifying extreme voices. So this is really the corollary to that story I was telling you earlier, the story about my friend who, whenever he says something extreme, he gets retweeted. Whenever he says something less extreme, it falls flat. One thing each of us can do is when we see some strident call, some angry tweet that we kind of agree with, we should hold back. Don't retweet it. Don't send it around. This is really hard to do, especially when it cuts to the core of something that's important to us. But if we care about maintaining good communication skills, it's really important. And lastly, when you are posting, be a voice of nuance, be a voice of moderation, and use reason in your posts. If you're trying to connect with people that don't necessarily see things your way, saying something in the most strident way isn't the way to do it. So it's interesting, when I first started tweeting some years ago, a number of people who had pretty robust Twitter presences told me, hey Bob, what you really need to do is be a bit more outspoken and a bit more outrageous and a bit more extreme, right? If you keep on tweeting the way you tweet, you are never going to get a lot of followers on Twitter. And of course I said to them, my whole brand is mediation, is consensus building, is perspective taking, right? I'm not going to be an extreme voice because my main purpose isn't to be super popular on Twitter. But even if your main purpose, right, isn't to mediate or build consensus, if you want to improve communication skills, if you want to be effective, doing what you can to be that voice of moderation, to be a voice of nuance, to be a voice of reason will be helpful. So, to recap, 4 things you can do to ensure that social media doesn't worsen your own communication skills are, first, limit your time on social media. Second, be intentional about following a diverse range of people and perspectives on social media. 3, commit to avoid amplifying extreme voices. And lastly, in your own posts, be a voice of moderation, nuance, and reason. So, speaking of political polarization, watch this next video on how does political polarization lead to gridlock in Congress. And before you go, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, hit the like button, and ring the bell so you never miss new content. Okay, keep improving your negotiation and communication skills.